Hi, how are you all? Welcome to today's class. Do you remember where did we stop? What were we discussing? We were discussing about the factors leading to the Bohr's atomic model, isn't it? So the first factor we have discussed, that is about the photoelectric effect and black body radiation. About that we have discussed. Now we have to discuss about the second factor, that is atomic spectrum. What do you mean by atomic spectrum? I already told that is a characteristic property of an atom. And what will be that atomic spectrum? About that we can discuss in this video. Okay. Do you know how this atomic spectrum is produced? When we are heating or when we are passing electricity through atoms of different elements, the electrons present in these atoms will absorb that energy. And as a result, the energy level of the electron will increase. And that higher energy level of electron is known as excited state. And this excited state is not stable for electrons. As a result, they have a tendency to come back to their original position. So these electrons are coming back to the original position by emitting some energy. They are releasing some amount of energy, and this energy is coming out in the form of electromagnetic radiation. And depending upon the energy they absorbed, they will release different amount of energy, and as a result the emitted electromagnetic radiations are having different wavelength. And these different electromagnetic radiation can be arranged in the increasing order of their wavelength or decreasing order of their frequency. And that arrangement of electromagnetic radiation emitted by a particular atom, it is known as its atomic spectrum. So atomic spectrum means it is the arrangement of different electromagnetic radiations emitted by a particular atom. And why this is known as atomic spectrum? It is because this spectrum is produced by the energy changes taking place inside the atoms. That is why it is known as atomic spectrum, and this is characteristic property of a particular atom. Atomic spectrum is the characteristic property of that particular atom. That means one type of atom will produce only one type of atomic spectrum, or different atoms are producing different types of atomic spectrum. So it is also known as the fingerprint of atoms. In lower classes we have studied about dispersion of light. What do you mean by dispersion of light? When white light is passed through a prism, it is splitting into 7 colors. And after dispersion, we are getting 7 colors arranged in a particular order. That order is Vibgyor, that we know, isn't it? In the case of dispersion of light, the 7 colors obtained changing from violet to red, they are arranged continuously. That is, there is no separation between any two colors. These 7 colors are arranged continuously. So such a spectrum we are getting as known as a continuous spectrum.
This figure represents a continuous spectrum. Here we can see different colors, that is from violet to red, arranged in a continuous manner. That is, there is no separation between the color. One color is merging into other. Such a spectrum is known as continuous spectrum.
But in the case of this atomic spectrum, we are getting some lines. Depending upon the energy of the different electromagnetic radiations, we are getting some lines. And these lines are separated by dark spaces. So this atomic spectrum is also known as line spectrum. Okay, so why this atomic spectrum is known as line spectrum? It is because in the case of this atomic spectrum, we can see only some bright lines. They are separated by dark spaces. So it is known as line spectrum.
This figure shows the line spectrum or atomic spectrum produced by different elements. The topmost one is the continuous spectrum, that is Vibgyor. The others are the line spectrum produced by sodium, hydrogen, calcium, magnesium and neon. Each lines of the spectrum represents electromagnetic radiation of a particular wavelength and a corresponding frequency. And one more thing we can notice here, that is the lines are separated by dark spaces in between them. That is why it is known as line spectrum.
Different atoms or different elements produces different types of atomic spectrum. Here we have to study only about the hydrogen spectrum. Okay. Here we have to study only about the atomic spectrum of hydrogen, because this atomic spectrum of hydrogen was found to be very much helpful in the development of atomic structure or in development of Bohr's atomic model. So here we are studying only about the hydrogen spectrum, and this hydrogen spectrum is produced when electric discharge or electricity is passed through hydrogen gas taken in a discharge tube. We are passing electricity through hydrogen gas taken in a discharge tube at very low pressures. So light is coming out, or light is emitted from this hydrogen gas, and that is collected on a photographic film, and we can see different groups of lines on that photographic film, and each group of line consists of large number of small lines. Okay. So when we are observing this atomic spectrum of hydrogen, we can see that it consists of 5 different groups of lines, 5 different groups, and each group consists of very large number of lines, such that we can see an atomic spectrum of hydrogen. And these 5 different group of lines is known as, first one is known as Lyman series. First group of line is known as Lyman series. Second group of line is known as Balmer series. The third one is Paschen, fourth one Brackett, and the fifth one is known as Fund series. So like this, 5 different group of lines are there in the atomic spectrum of hydrogen.
This figure shows the different group of lines obtained in the atomic spectrum of hydrogen, that is Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen series, Brackett series and Fund series. Each group consists of many number of lines. Why this many lines are produced in the spectrum of hydrogen even though it contains only one electron? That question led to the discovery of the new atomic model.
Why we are getting these many number of lines, or this many group of lines in the spectrum of hydrogen even though it contains only one electron? That study led to the development of Bohr's atomic model. Okay. So these are the 2 factors which led Niels Bohr to develop a new atomic model. The first one, the dual character of electromagnetic radiation. That means electromagnetic radiation possesses both particle character and wave character. Then the second factor is that atomic spectrum of hydrogen. The study about these 2 factors led to the development of Bohr's atomic model. Okay, now we can study about Bohr's atomic model. What are the main points of Bohr's atomic model? How he explained about atomic structure. Okay.
Now we can study about Bohr's atomic model. Based upon the quantum theory of radiations, Niels Bohr proposed a new model of hydrogen atom that is known as Bohr's atomic model. Now we can study what are the main points of Bohr's atomic model. The first point already we have studied in lower classes, that is, the electron in an atom revolves around the nucleus only in certain selected circular path called orbits. And these orbits are associated with a definite amount of energies and are called energy levels or shells. So inside the atom there is a central part called the nucleus, which is positively charged, and around this nucleus electrons are revolving in circular path, and these circular paths are known as shells or orbits. And each orbit or each shell is associated with a particular amount of energy, with a definite amount of energy. So these orbits are also known as energy levels. And these shells or energy levels are numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, or they can be represented as K, L, M, and etc. This is the representation of different orbits around the nucleus. The first orbit or the first shell which is close to the nucleus, that is known as K shell or first shell. Then the next one is known as second shell or L shell. Then third shell or M shell. Like that it goes. Okay. Now the second point is that only those orbits are permitted in which the angular momentum of the electron is a whole number multiple of h by 2 pi, where h is Planck's constant. Around the nucleus there will be different circular path. We can have different circular path around the nucleus, but the electron can revolve in only those circular path in which the angular momentum of the electron becomes a multiple of h by 2 pi, or we can write the angular momentum will be equal to nh by 2 pi. In those circular path only the electrons can revolve around the nucleus. We know that when any object is moving in a linear manner, it's the product of its mass and velocity can be called as its linear momentum. The product of mass and velocity of any moving object can be called as its linear momentum. That already we have studied in physics, isn't it? So here the electron or the object is revolving in a circular path. So instead of telling linear momentum, we are telling it as angular momentum. Okay, and angular momentum is the product of its mass, velocity and radius of that circular path. So if an object is moving in a circular path, the momentum is known as angular momentum, and it is the product of mass, velocity and radius of that circular path. So here, when the electrons are revolving around the nucleus, the angular momentum of the moving electron should be equal to nh by 2 pi. In those circular path only, electrons can revolve around the nucleus. Okay. Then the third point is that as long as electron is revolving in a particular orbit where the angular momentum is equal to nh by 2 pi, the electron is not gaining or losing energy, does not lose or gain energy. This means that energy of an electron in a particular orbit remains constant. As long as electron is moving in a circular path, in a particular circular path, its energy remains constant. So these circular paths are also known as stationary states. Stationary means stable or remain constant. So as long as electron is revolving in a particular orbit, its energy remains constant. So these energy levels or shells are also known as stationary states. Now the fourth point is that when energy from some external source is applied to the electron, it may jump to some higher energy level by absorbing a definite amount of energy. That means when the atoms are exposed to heating or when they are exposed to electric discharge, the electrons present in these atoms will absorb some amount of energy, and as a result it will jump into higher energy level. For example, if the electron is present in the first orbit, by absorbing energy, it can jump into second energy level or third energy level or fourth energy level depending upon the amount of energy absorbed. Okay. And these higher energy levels to which the electron is jumping, they are known as the excited state. And these excited states are not stable for this electron. As a result, what will happen? They will jump back into the lower energy level or to the original position. The excited state is not stable for the electron. As a result, they will jump back into the original position or lower energy level. And during this return back, they will emit the same amount of energy which they absorb. They will emit the same amount of energy they absorbed. And this energy released will coming out in the form of radiation. Okay. So, from the excited state, electrons are jumping back into the original position. During that jump, they are emitting some energy in the form of radiation. And we can calculate the frequency of that emitted radiation. Here it is shown that two shells, that is first shell in which the energy is equal to E1 and the second shell in which the energy is equal to E2. So suppose the electron is present in the first energy level where the energy is equal to E1, and by absorbing some amount of energy it is jumping into the second energy level E2, that is the excited state. And we know that that excited state is not stable, so that electron is jumping back into the first energy state. So at that time it will emit some energy in the form of radiation, that is shown here. Okay. Now how much amount of energy it will emit? That will be equal to the difference in energy between the second energy level and the first energy level. That difference in energy can be represented as delta E. Okay. So during the jump of electron, it will emit the energy equal to the difference in energy between the second energy level, that is E2, and the first energy level, that is E1. And that can be represented as delta E. So we can write delta E is equal to E2 minus E1. Got that? So that much amount of energy this electron will emit. Okay. And we know that energy E is equal to h nu. That already we have studied. So we can write delta E is equal to h nu. Or delta E is equal to E2 minus E1, that is equal to h nu. where nu is the frequency of the emitted radiation. From this we can calculate nu is equal to E2 minus E1 divided by H.